is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gamers for Life podcast, where each and every Friday or Saturday or Sunday discussing all things games, talking that gaming shit, which you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm here with the OGs today. Church isn't here for this episode, but we got Arthur in the building. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Always happy to be the yin to the yang or yang to the yin. I'm 35. I don't know which one's which.
There you go. The ABXY and OG in the house. So like I said, for this episode, Church won't be here, but I'm sure we'll be following up on these particular topics because there's a lot of it that's kind of a continuing of the conversation, but some new interesting news that we can still share with y'all here at the Gamers for Life podcast. Of course, as always, if you are new to the channel, hello, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. For the podcast audio, definitely be sure to go ahead and follow, listen to it on the platform of your choice. If you like to rock with Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, we're going to be there. So be sure to do that. Do your due diligence on that. Arthur does stream on the channel as well. He's been doing a mixture between Arkham Knight and Helldivers when Helldivers is operational.
And Dying Light. Victor and I's playthrough of Dying Light is an adult. We got to our 18th part, number 18. We'll get to that more, but yeah, we're also I'm flipping between single player Arkham Knight, cooperative Helldivers, or Victor's on fucking Dying Light.
Nice. Yeah, we got to get on some Helldivers again soon. I was having those technical issues. I'm waiting on them to have a patch to fix that shit.
It might be, Drew? It might be worth our good old uninstall, reinstall.
Maybe.
Only because I'm not blaming you. I am unlike Dave Chappelle. I am not a victim blamer. I'm the controller headset guy. I'm the type of guy who's like, Arthur, you broke another headset? No, I bought another broken headset. There's a difference between me breaking one and me buying a malfunctioning one. So you say your game doesn't work, I'm not going to be like, Drill, what the fuck did you do? I'm not that guy. So, but statistically, of all my PC friends that play the game, you're the one that has that cross play thing. So it might be worth uninstall, reinstall. Plus, because there was another update and some more patches.
That's a fair point. I mean, I haven't uninstalled and reinstalled it, so I haven't tried that.
And unlike these AAA bullshit games, they compress their data. It's only like 40 fucking gigs. It's not
right. It's not that bad. Yeah.
You have to uninstall, reinstall Call of Duty. Clear your fucking week.
Yeah, make a trip to Best Buy and oh man, that's a whole other conversation I can go into, but I won't. As far as like when Church is like, oh, just buy a new drive. It doesn't cost anything.
Fuck that.
I'm like, bro, not everyone is gonna buy a new hard drive for a new free-to-play game. Anyway, so like I mentioned, definitely subscribe to the channel because Arthur's doing dope shit streaming. We're having dope conversations here. I'm committing to presenting better audio for the podcast. We had one comment that was like, you guys have good conversations, but the audio is so trash. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I listened to it and I was like, yeah, it's trash. So I fixed it.
Man, fuck you. Yeah, you're right, bro.
Yeah. So now I'm committing to dope audio moving forward. And then here at the Gamers for Life everything else Gamers for Life, go to linktree.com/Gamers for Life, the one-stop shop link here. And here at the Gamers for Life podcast, we read the news while you can watch or listen to what you choose by clicking on the links to the time code within the description of the episode so you know what to, or you can go to what you want. Or you can hang out with us here at the Gamers for Life podcast because we have a couple stories here today that are pretty interesting to check out here. First and foremost, I want to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 here just a bit. Reason being
is a game that changed the industry. Don't expect this to be the norm, guys. Whoa. A game that works at launch, has good scripting, has no battle pass, no microtransactions. Hey, don't expect that to be the industry norm. Baldur's Gate 3.
Exactly. The game really shook up the industry as far as like, wait, we're doing stuff we did 10 years ago? They were just releasing good games without any additional content. What are you talking about?
Good games are trying to rob you of your hard-earned money. In this economy, you know how much eggs cost? Fuck you.
Definitely. So, my point to the Baldur's Gate conversation is that when it comes to Baldur's Gate, there was a recent article basically stating that they're done. They are not making they're not making any more Baldur's Gates for that team. They're not doing any DLC for it. They're working on an all new project. It's kind of commendable in a sense. I know that if they had the right support from the rest of the like the publishing support, and then obviously like the support of just like the industry, they probably would have made more content for it. But I think just because everyone was talking shit about them, and then obviously when it comes to just like the live service shit, they were just like, you know what, we're just gonna have to move on and do something else. And then obviously, you know, I don't know if they were impacted from a layoffs perspective, but yeah, I mean, they're like, yeah, one and done, here it is. But they have a classic, like they have a classic game. Like, I don't know, I don't remember the last game that you can consider a classic within the last 5 years at least. Besides like maybe Last of Us 2 and like a few other things, but like Elden Ring maybe, but like. What's the last game that's been like a classic?
Dude, this is a game on a league on its own. It's a cooperative, story-based, class-based, turn-based game. Like whatever category it's in, it's like arguably top at. Like Bethesda is a single-player game based off story. This game's cooperative. Technically, there's technically a cooperative Fallout 76. Fuck that game. But and even for narrative, like again, the story and script, I will never stop praising the writing on this game, because even if you take Baldur's Gate 3 for what it was and made it like an 8-bit indie style aesthetic, its story was still great. Its scripting was amazing, because, and the reason why I still celebrate scripting, not really a soapbox, but just example. Because remember, Jarrell, when Unreal 5 engine was announced, Unreal 5 was debuted with a game that eventually became Forspoken. And that game had some crazy cringe Twitter speak, hashtag normal people don't talk like this, normal gamers don't talk like this, dialogue that threw people out of the game. And whereas Baldur's Gate 3, for more reasons than one, had crazy immersion, and again, I can't praise Baldur's Gate 3 enough, but like name whatever category or box that Baldur's Gate 3 can check, it's either top in that category or like easily top 3. Like a cooperative RPG in terms of character creation. You know, people spent, I don't know if you remember, Joel, how people spent hours making a character in Skyrim, and then you put on your fucking helmet, you're like, God damn it.
That is so funny. That's a great point. Point.
And then this game comes out again. It does everything it did. I will never stop praising it. But my quick summation of them saying we're done, no DLC, that includes no sequel, right? Like no Baldur's Gate 4 as of right now. Nothing.
Right now, that team is doing something else. Yeah.
And on a fucking high note, you stuck your landing. You got your gold medals. Again, Jarrell, this was the game. Remember, this was the Jarrell that got me my burrito bet win of our Game Award picks, because I was like, no, I got to go with my gut. I'm not going to go with Oscar race baiting bullshit shit. And I picked the game that changed the quote unquote industry norm. And them ending on like one of the highest notes we've seen in years is amazing. And to be fair, if you're one of their competitors, consider yourself fucking lucky. They said, yeah, we're done. Can you imagine this game like announced or hinted at a fucking DLC? Dude, dibs on not being a game released the same week as that DLC. Holy shit. Like if they were to milk this, like let's say this didn't happen. If Baldur's Gate 3 were to announce an Astarian story-focused DLC, holy shit, dude. That was the guy that won Best Voice Actor. He's like the hot, pale vampire that everyone swoons over. If he was the focus of the next DLC, dude, that game release window for everything else would have been fucked.
Yeah, man. No, there's a lot of amazing. It's just that game really it's I'm glad to be alive witnessing what we witnessed, right? Because I feel like it was completely the opposite, against the grain of all the bullshit in the industry. And there's so many dope things, like as far as just like how they went about it when it came from, you know, really having it available via beta for PC, working on stuff, taking in community feedback. And then I read something that said the cinematics for Baldur's Gate, there's more cinematics in Baldur's Gate than all the Game of Thrones like HBO like shows. Like there's more cinematics, and like it's longer than all of the Game of Thrones like seasons. I'm like, that is fucking crazy. I was like, that makes me want to play the game, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so
the cinematics of this game is better than the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Facts on that. I wanted to
I didn't know that. Sorry, go on.
Neither did I until I read it. I said, "Oh shit."
That's a crazy snap fucking fact, because you know me, Drell, every now and again when I want to see the story of a game that I can't play, I YouTube all the cutscenes. That's crazy to YouTube all the cutscenes. You're like, dude, you got like time to watch 10 seasons of Game of Thrones?
Right.
That's insane.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and in Baldur's Gate, I feel like that is what I know usually you do that for when it comes to like a platform that you don't have, which I understand, but that one, it's like, man, just give it a little time, because it's available on the Series X, you know, at this point now.
It came to Xbox following the Game Awards, and before you go into the article, one thing you did touch on, the drill, that I think is worth mentioning among the million and one accolades for this game is, remember, this game released a beta. This game released not an early release, not $100 fucking pre-release 5 days early. Fucking give me your money, fucking beta. That was the sound of me sucking cock, by the way.
In case you were confused.
I stumbled. I gagged, you could say. But this game's beta, I don't know if you remember, Joe, was like fucking laughed at and ridiculed. Like, I'm, you know, because Church and I, you know, we talk about different channels, YouTubers. Like, I'm a big Angry Joe fan. Angry Joe and a lot of people did not like this game at beta, and they said, "Hold my beer," and fucking fixed so much shit. And they fixed it, won Game of the Year, and now we're talking about again the industry norm. That's the thing. That's my thing when I still early called so many of these quote unquote AAA bullshit, just trying to get your money publishers, mainly a beta. I'm like, that's not a beta. We're getting a demo. We are not getting a beta. We're getting a demo, because the purpose of a beta is to release something, find out what's wrong with it from the public, fix it, then release it at launch. And Baldur's Gate 3 actually did that. And people say, well, their beta come out a year in advance. I'm like, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. Unlike fucking Diablo and who was it, Battlefield 4 and other people, or Battlefield 2040, who year I don't even fucking know anymore. It's like, oh, this game comes out June 1st. May 25th, beta. Fuck you. That is a demo. So again, you had I want to say, Joel, you had even though I won our pick for the Game of Year awards, you won that year, or you won not one, but you had that game on your draft card. And I'm really glad you did it, because I stepped away from the game. I was one of the people that saw the beta for what it was. Didn't think it was going to be like, you know, it was going to be okay RPG with, you know, kind of pretty graphics. And I stepped away from it. And you stuck with it. Like a lot of people, you put on your draft card. I'm happy to hear it. So, but yeah. So again, I'll stop only because I cannot continue to praise this game when you have game journalists, developers, and publishers saying, don't expect this to be the norm. What? You mean fun? Okay.
Exactly. No, yeah, man, because I remember it was in beta form, and I remember there's a lot of people that, you know, they had their qualms with it, but I feel like people forget what a beta is, and I feel like they really treated it of how a beta is supposed to be. To me, in my mind, the whole point of a beta is to get feedback, to work on the game, and to fix it. That used to be what betas are. Now I feel like betas are just they advertise it as a snippet of a finished game, and then people misinterpret or just have a misconception on what a beta actually is. So when they have a poor experience in the beta and they don't have feedback, they just don't like the experience, it's like, oh, this game sucks, and they don't buy it. When I feel like for Baldur's Gate, I think they were very clear to the community, and I think, and also too, they communicate with the community as far as like, hey, you know, thanks for giving us that. We're working on that. We're going to do this. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just think it was really fucking smart of how they approached everything when it came to that. And yeah, I remember keeping tabs on that, and I remember like some behind the scenes stuff when it came to some voice acting. So I was like, oh, okay, like I love a game with really dope voice acting. You know, I'm a huge story guy. Narrative is my jam, and like we've mentioned, Arthur, we are not the main like piece of the pie chart that the gaming company is advertised to, right? We have our very specific things that we like.
We are not the target audience.
Yeah, exactly. We're not the target audience. I'm a big fan of narrative because it's like I don't have time to do a bunch of online shit all the time. Like I got shit to do, but I love a great story, and so that's why I really lean to narrative a lot. You love the multiplayer co-op stuff, you know, action RPGs and things of that nature. So it's just, and then I remember the behind the scenes of them doing the voice acting stuff, and then Blessing Adiole Jr. Shout out to Blessing. I usually don't agree with him a whole lot. There's some opinions he has where I'm like, I don't really agree with that, but he did call it. He was like, you know, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be on time for Game of the Year. A lot of people were like, oh no, Starfield. But he was absolutely fucking right. And when he did mention Baldur's Gate 3, I said, okay. I said, I actually agree with him on this, you know. So very exciting stuff. And I did want to mention too here in this article, the CEO of Larian Studios, which obviously worked on Baldur's Gate 3, and the director had some thoughts on kind of a little bit on the state of gaming, and as far as for like the industry a bit. Similar to what Phil Spencer, he has some thoughts about that too. We'll get to that here later in the show. This is from VideoGamesChronicle.com, by the way. It says here in quote, the CEO of Larian Studios and director of its hit game Baldur's Gate 3 has blamed corporate greed for the high number of mass layoffs in the games industry. That's really important to note because the misconception has been, it's just a downturn of the industry. The game sales are so bad we have to lay off all these people. That is a lie. A lot of these companies are doing very well, and they're laying off people for various other purposes, leaning towards corporate greed, shareholder bullshit. So I think that is important to know, and I think it's honorable for him to say it's corporate greed versus just, times are hard, COVID. No, fuck that.
You have billionaires laying off thousandaires. Fuck you. And right. Here's the other thing, Drill. Again, these aren't just corporations that are doing good. This is at times when they're at their fucking best. Because remember, Drill, Activision Blizzard laid off all those people after the most successful quarter in that company's fucking history. So don't tell me that this is, times are tough. No, you're a billionaire making X, Y, and Z, and you want to continue to make that 0.00 decimal of a billionaire. So how can I do that? Let me lay off X number of employees. So don't try to pin it at the industry norm. Don't try to pin it at the failure of a game. Don't try to pin it at the sales of a game when it's your higher up echelon of people that we will never experience, never hear an interview from, never arguably even fucking know other than a fucking Bobby Cockdick making the decisions that they determine of their company what's a failure and success. Like we said, Joel, that was insane. Following the most successful financial quarter that Activision Blizzard has ever seen in the history of their company, laid people off. You know, if you're just like, when was Activision Blizzard? Most probably like after this Call of Duty, after that World of Warcraft. No, it was that quarter. How'd they celebrate that quarter? They laid off all these people. So again, corporate greed is exactly a source of it, not the lack of us buying games. So I'll just say that.
I'm proud of you, Arthur. I'm proud of you. You could have made a left turn. You decided to keep that right.
The intrusive thoughts almost won. And then, you're behind the wheel of the car and you look and you're like, But no, yeah. Again, so when you have billionaires laying off thousandaires, you don't blame the thousandaires. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So to continue here, it says Sven Vinke, I apologize if I mispronounced that. Sven Vink took the opportunity to address the issue while accepting the Best Narrative Award for Baldur's Gate 3 at the Gamers Developers Choice Awards. As reported by Eurogamer. It says here in quote, "The speeches here have been so good and basically stole all my thunder of the things I wanted to talk about stopping the war and stopping the greed, which has been fucking this thing up for so long," end quote. Vinke started before deciding to continue speaking about the matter. In his speech, Vinke said corporate greed has been a constant in the industry ever since he's been involved, and that he's seen the same patterns all the time. In quote, he says, "I've been fighting with publishers my entire life," he explained, "and I keep on seeing the same mistakes over and over, and it's always the quarterly profits. The only thing that matters is the numbers. And then you fire everybody. And then next year you're going to say, shit, I'm out of developers. And you're going to start hiring people again. And then you do acquisitions. And then you put them in the same loop again. And it's just been broken and broken and broken." End quote. Addressing publishers directly, Vinke told them that the situation shouldn't have to be like this. And that they don't have to follow the firing and hiring loop he described. It says here in quote, "You don't have to," he said. He said, "You can just make reserves, slow down a little bit, slow it on the greed, be resilient, take care of the people, don't lose the institutional knowledge that's been built up in all those people, and you lose every single time, so that you have to go through the same cycle over and over, right? Because it really pisses me off," end quote. It says here, Baldur's Gate 3 took home 4 awards at the GDC Awards, including Game of the Year, Best Design, and Audience Award. It says the Nintendo's Legend of Zelda, also a single-player game. Tears of the Kingdom won Innovation and Best Technology, while Visa Games' narrative cooking game Venba also received 2 prizes, the Debut and Social Impact Awards, end quote.
Real quick, you couldn't see it. I was smiling that Breath of the Wild Best won. Tears of the Kingdom won Best Innovation and Best Technology. I think because like, damn, they made that on a Switch. Holy shit!
Yeah. No, exactly. I think that surprised everybody. Like, oh shit, this is actually a pretty great performing game.
This iPad 2 can do that? Get the fuck out of
here. So yeah, man, I think he hit all the nails on the head. He just said some real shit right there, right? Like I don't even think Phil Spencer doesn't have the balls to say this. You know what I mean? I think he just really hit the main points of what's going on, and these are the things that I haven't really been talked about. It's just been the fluff as far as, oh, this has been a really hard decision for us, you know, as a company, but we have to do X, Y, and Z. He's like, no, fuck that, fuck you. This is bullshit. This doesn't have to happen. You're deciding to happen because of greed, you know.
When multi-billionaires lay people off, you don't blame the employees. You don't blame the fucking customers. It's that people try and get that check that they're used to, even after the decisions they fucked up, or people they're directly responsible for fucked up again, and again. Activision laid people off after those most successful quarter they have ever experienced. Don't come after the fucking customers for not supporting their games. Don't come after the customers for not supporting their fucking microtransactions. Don't come after the developers for making their games. Don't come after the people making decisions. No, this is a higher ups decision. I hated it. He called it out. It's corporate greed. It's corporate greed. It's just corporate fucking greed. That's it.
Yeah, and the fact that he said I've been fighting publishers my whole life, like to me that is a huge point and indicator. And then mentioning the point of hiring people, firing people, and looping it around, and you know, I always mention like that doesn't have to happen, because I remember Church and we talked about this before, you know, and it's just like, and I was like, why are they? Like, what's the whole point of having all these people if you're just going to fire them again? You know, it's like they have all this money, they're overspending, and that's a decision. It's a poor decision. Like, they don't have to go through this bullshit because of these poor Embracer Group, key an example. You know, them them doing really poor business deals, and then Saudi Arabia pulled out, and then they had to lay off 27,000 people because of their poor business decisions. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he hit the nail on the head there. I'm just glad that he said that. And I wanted to mention that here in the article.
And back to Embracer Group. Embracer Group is a name that should really ring a bell. Embracer Group should unfortunately be an example, or God forbid, a precursor of what's to come. Because Embracer Group was the largest gaming company in Europe, and it went under. Not because enough people didn't buy their games. No, because they fucked up and they burst their own bubble. They did acquisition after acquisition after acquisition, and were banking on one certain thing, and then it didn't go through. They put all their eggs in one basket, and that's what happened. So again, the largest gaming group in Europe shut down, which is like crazy, arguably scary for the industry. So I'm glad that he's speaking, and I'm glad that this guy of all people can speak on it, and he can speak on it. It's like, hey, I'm the guy that changed up the fucking gaming industry. I'll say my shit. Fuck you.
No, yeah, I think it's just, yeah, he spit facts there for real. So appreciated that from him. And speaking of some upcoming titles that definitely might tickle our fancy, as Church has mentioned in the last episode, as far as some games that are live service, it doesn't cost a dime. We have a free-to-play game that is on the way, coming out soon.
Because every free-to-play game is good and worth your time.
And the fact that we have multiple, so people now have to choose which one they want to play and invest their time into, as time is money. Marvel Rivals, a team-based free-to-play shooter, has been announced. It says here, Marvel Rivals, a 6v6 team-based free-to-play shooter, is headed to PC, starring iconic heroes, villains from the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men, and many more. Really interesting stuff here, right? So, one thing we have to talk about, which I think is hilarious, and Church is interested in this, as I am as well, but I thought it was funny, though, that a lot of people are comparing this to Overwatch, just rightfully so, right? As far as just the style.
But as they should. It's fucking class-based. Go ahead.
I mean, you have more to add to this, definitely, because you've actually played Overwatch. I'm just kind of outside looking in, but as far as for the style of type of gameplay, even the camera angle, and then there's other people that talk about it online in various sources, talking about, hey, yeah, it's like Overwatch with this. If you're describing it, it's like Overwatch with this, like Overwatch with Marvel characters, like, but third person instead of first person. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's, Church had a qualm with that. He was like, oh, people are just picking at Blizzard. And I'm like, well, it's Blizzard. I mean, for one. But two, it does kind of seem that way. You know what I mean? So I guess my question to you is, one, are you excited? What are your thoughts? And then two, because it's similar to Overwatch, do you think it might have certain patterns as Overwatch in a positive or negative light?
It's hard to answer a lot of that, because to my core, like, I can't be more honest about this. I don't give two shits. Like,
I don't care about this.
Oh my god, another team-based free-to-play freemium live service cosmetic bullshit game where you I don't care. I don't care. Like, there's nothing gonna be new about this game. Like, nothing's gonna be new about this game. Nothing's gonna be innovative about this game. It's just gonna be cosmetic bullshit, which is interesting, because I will say, when it comes to cosmetic bullshit drill, interestingly enough, a game I'm not a fan of, a game I've accepted into our lives, but I'm not a fan of it, has a game that has actually ironically set the bar, drill, for cosmetic bullshit, is Fortnite. So if you are going to release a cosmetic bullshit game, it at least better be better on par than Fortnite. Because if it's not better than Fortnite, then guess what? People are just going to play fucking Fortnite, where they could do the gritty as Batman killing Goku. Okay, so again, if you're going to release a bullshit skin freemium game, then hey, guess what? People have Fortnite to do that exact same thing. I just sent, Joel, if you check the group chat, I sent the list of games that these developers have made. yeah. I think this was just Marvel just made a quick check and sold their IP to somebody that's known for making copycat bullshit, who gives a shit freemium games. So yeah, like the developer whose name you just said has made Lost Light, Super Mecha Champions, Infinite Lagrange, Onimoji, Cyber Hunter, Infinite Borders, Onimyoji, the card game, and Ashfall. Titles we all know and love in all of our households. This is a cash grab sold an IP game. This has nothing to do with Marvel. This is an IP selling game. This is just a cash grab at I'm not saying a fad of this, but I'm just saying this is, hey, if we could get X amount of players to play, and I'm calling it out a drill. I feel like this is, not soapboxing it, but I feel like it's like arguably ruining the state of games. Sponsored streamers spending money in this fucking game and convincing their fans to spend money in this fucking game. That's the only success this game will have. The only success this game will have is like content creators playing this fucking game, because that's all this is. This is just a quick cash grab thing. And the fact people are linking to Borderlands, the fact that people are linking to Overwatch, yeah, is warranted, because, and it's not exactly a bad thing. I don't know when comparing games became a bad thing. Again, like Drill, to this day, zombie games are described as what? Left 4 Dead plus blank. Yeah. So what used to be a compliment, because Overwatch is such a fucking up their own asshole of a game, it's an insult. Because before, being compared to games, Drill, was a compliment. Remember, Drill, you and I were there. How was Far Cry described? Skyrim plus guns. How is a zombie game described? The Left 4 Dead plus this. And all of a sudden, this Marvel Rivals game comes out, and it's like, it's Overwatch plus this. And all the Overwatch fans are like, no, nothing Overwatch. That should be a compliment to Overwatch. Being compared to your game, but blank, minus 4 years ago, would have been a compliment of a marketing strategy. And now it's an insult. Oh, maybe because Overwatch isn't actually a good game. That's why that's bad. It's linked to it. So again, I don't have much to say on this, because I have no interest in this game. It's, for me, it's a cash grab on like let's just do a Marvel skin on a style. It's a developer that's, I would say, again, that's the freemium microtransaction games is clearly their wheelhouse. That's all they make. If it's good, it's good, but I won't. Put it this way, Jarrell, this game's free. I won't spend any second of my life looking for this in the store to hit download. I just won't.
Well, I guess I have to. I mean, I think you're warranted to your opinion, definitely based on your experience with Overwatch. But I think I disagree with you on this one. I'm kind of coming in as far as outside looking in customer, as far as like what I see. Like, okay, this looks interesting, and I do like the art style a lot. I think that's definitely an attractive thing for me, at least. And you could be right, but to me, I think it would be it's worth trying and checking out to see. I won't say everyone should try and check it out. And then for me personally, I haven't really played Overwatch. I've just have kind of witnessed like throughout the window of like what the fuck happened. You know what I mean? But as far as for this, I mean, this could surprise us, right? I mean, I had no interest in buying Helldivers. I bought Helldivers. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. You know what I mean? And obviously, Helldivers is not Overwatch. Like, it's a very different type of game. Church was saying how it's very much similar to Monster Hunter as far as for that type of style or whatnot, and to kind of twist his words a bit, he described it as a Monster Hunter, but this. I don't see any problem with people saying for Rivals it's Overwatch in this, so I don't see any issue with the description.
You're right. Sorry, like, I don't know. Again, that comparison, I don't know why in the modern age of gaming people are like getting mad at comparison. Oh, it's not Overwatch. It is. And why are you getting mad at comparing it? That's how at base value. That's how people describe things. I mean, even like comparing it to, it's not even a comparison in quality. It's more of like a face value. A comparison for description. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I don't know why of all the things that came from this, I did not expect that to be my bingo card of what people are upset about. Why are people upset that this is being compared to Overwatch when it's clearly warranted?
Yeah, I think this has the opportunity to be a fun game if they really gave a fuck about the Marvel Universe and the powers and the things that you could do. I think this could be a really fun game, but that's the main thing, right? Is that we have to see how really deep the rabbit hole goes. Obviously, it's not the best of things when we talk about the games that they're already attached to, not necessarily being the most interesting titles or whatnot, but who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. For example, I know Marvel games typically they don't have the best these days. They don't really have the best reputation. With all the Marvel games that have come to us in the past, to me, one of my favorite Marvel games has been Marvel Alliance, and that was like fucking like what 15 years ago.
Dude, this game absolutely has the potential to make me wrong, and two, be a fun game because Marvel Alliance it's a top-down dungeon crawler. For me, that played Diablo 2 like crazy. Two, when it comes to mechanics, I know a lot of people didn't think about this, but as mechanics, Marvel Alliance is Diablo with Marvel, which is not bad at all. Like I love Diablo 2. Yeah. I love Diablo 2. There were classes, there were fighter classes, there were tanks, there were mages, there were archers, there were ranged. You can have loot, you can level up. So again, by all hallmarks has absolutely opportunity for me to be wrong because it's happened before, but more and more often than not, it hasn't. Like minus the first party Spider-Man games that are Sony and Drill. You're right. These Marvel games haven't been good. Like now, there's that Blade game that's supposed to come out. That Blade game was announced at one of the shows. I forget it was Xbox or somewhere. But look at Square Enix. Square Enix was like, "Hey, Marvel Avengers." Oh no.
Yeah, they did a piss poor job with the franchise, definitely. So yeah, I think to me it just depends on how they approach it. I think I accept everyone's apprehensiveness of going into the game. But I'm also very curious myself. And then for me, who hasn't played Overwatch, I'm curious to check it out. I looked at the system requirements. I can play this game, no issue. So I might give it a go, But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we get some good responses and whatnot. And we'll see. We'll just see what happens. So
that'll be funny if this game positively rebounds so hard. The player count in Overwatch is fucking tanks. In this game, now I kind of want to root for him.
This might be a redeeming factor, right? The funny thing about this, sorry to cut you off, I was going to say this actually kind of can light a fire under Overwatch's ass. All those devs, especially if they do what Overwatch did, but did it better. Like that could be a really dope fucking situation because obviously, it used to be anyway, that competition was very healthy for the market, not exclusivity, but competition was healthy for the market. So this might be an opportunity where it's like, yo, this Marvel game is actually pretty dope, and Overwatch is like, God damn it, they're trying to push all these little updates that they should have did from the very fucking beginning. But we'll see.
Dude, if this game quietly announces a fucking PvE mode at launch, that'd be a massive punch in the face Overwatch 2, because again, Drill, that was one of the whole entire fucking reasons why Overwatch 2 was even warranted to exist, was a whole new PvE mode. And again, I will never stop talking about that because, Drill, Team Fortress 2 is still being played. Why haven't they released Team Fortress 3? Because Team Fortress 2 is still a good fucking game. Don't touch it. It's not broke. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Overwatch was like, hold my beer on that shit. And again, they could have just kept releasing and updating Overwatch. Guess what? Like every other game that we're fucking used to. Counter-Strike has had how many fucking sequels in the past X years? Maybe 1, 2? Counter-Strike Go? And again, Overwatch was like, nah, we have to have Overwatch 2 because it's only been 4 years. It's like, really? Oh, sure. Yep. PvE's gonna come. That's the whole reason why we're doing Overwatch 2. Cool. Okay, actually, there's no PvE, but now Overwatch 2 exists. Oh, and by the way, you cannot play Overwatch 1. Like that was one of the biggest things. So again, why? I'm probably the minority. I don't care. But a lot of the core changes as Overwatch 2 versus Overwatch 1 is gone. And that's the thing, Jarrell, is you cannot play Overwatch 1. There is no Overwatch 1 literally does not exist. Overwatch 2 replaced it, which is weird that a sequel absorbed and replaced its prequel. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I want to play, hey, I want to play, oh, hey, Left 4 Dead 2 came out. I want to play Left 4 Dead 1. You can't. What do you mean I can't? And that's what Overwatch did.
Yeah.
So again, that's why people be like me. I don't care about Overwatch. Yeah, it's a free game. I'm still going to, again, draw time is money. Yeah, it's free, but time is money. I'm not going to spend my time downloading the fucking game, trying to reinstall the fucking game, update the fucking game. Whereas again, if this game kills it and the Overwatch 2 player count drops, that'll warm my heart.
I remember asking you guys that too, as far as like, hey, what are your thoughts on on Overwatch 2, like erasing Overwatch 1, because like exactly like you said, as a PC player, like the Team Fortress 2 community is arguably one of the most loyal like multiplayer communities like out there. You know what I mean? So like if they came out with Team Fortress 3 and it erased Team Fortress 2, people would fucking freak the fuck out. The internet would melt in that particular category, So I know Counter-Strike 2 eradicated Counter-Strike 1, but it was that specific version of Counter-Strike. The old school Counter-Strike, I think people are still on those old servers, you know what I mean? So it's like you said, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, and people will be loyal, and I know servers aren't usually up as much as they are servers tend to be taken down a lot more these days because they want a certain amount of engagement very specifically. But yeah, when it comes to Overwatch 1, I think that engagement would have been there if they didn't eradicate it, but obviously, it is what it is at this point.
I'm totally flipped. Marvel's Rivals, I hope you do well.
All right.
All right. Like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hey, Marvel's Rivals, we cool. What's up?
Yeah, if it's just to spite Overwatch, like let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Maybe it'll be better, than Overwatch 2.
It's still crazy how, like I said, Overwatch literally had a formula that worked. Like that, like Drill. You know me, I'm not a PvP guy. I'm like, I would have one, maybe 2 games I play, Battlefield 1 and Overwatch. That were my go-to. Let's play a few matches. And then again, and Overwatch was the king of that because eventually Battlefield 1 died out because, Battlefield 5 came out and then Battlefield 20. So literally just because whether it was good or bad, 2 more games came out. So the Battlefield 1 servers died out. So people like me and Victor, all of our friends, we had Overwatch. And again, we kept going Overwatch. We kept going Overwatch. And they literally had a system, and I was like, if the system ain't broke, don't fix it. And they fucking broke it. That's something that's still baffling to me, like as a concept. Like they broke it, and so again, fuck it, we'll give it a try, Joel. Well, now is it a beta or release? What's going on?
I think more details are going to be showing up soon. But we'll see. I think it's just PC right now as well, but
not console.
Yeah,
Rivals! I tried. God damn it!
Well, who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe there will be a console version with this. Time will tell. But I'm not sure when this comes out yet. I have to do more research on it. I didn't.
Well, you play it. You play it for me. You let me know how it goes.
I will. Definitely will. So speaking of some games that we know, and games that are reminiscent of very important parts of our life, Borderlands.
Short version, I'm not afraid of talking about it. Borderlands Midnight 2 release. I did not work. It worked one way. Borderlands 2 will always be close to my heart. Short version, after the Borderlands 2 Midnight release, Arthur almost became a dead Arthur had a dad scare thanks to Borderlands 2. Yeah. So Borderlands will never not always hold a place in my heart. But yeah, Borderlands is in the news. Drell, what's going on?
So I kind of wanted you to take this topic because I know Take-Two bought the rights to Borderlands, and they're going to be working on working on a sequel. Working on a sequel for the game. Very curious to see how it turns out. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried because I don't want it to be some type of like a Fortnite type of style game, you know.
Air horn. Brr, brr, brr.
Do you like dubstep?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a little worried in that particular regard. So, what are your thoughts on this new Borderlands? I mean, obviously the new movie's coming out. We already talked about how like it's probably going to be shit, but we love the game, and Take-Two's buying it. What are your thoughts on that matter?
I will briefly recap the movie. I still think the movie's going to be okay, which is what I expected from it. I don't know why people were expecting Schindler's List level of comedy, but whatever. I think the Borderlands movie will do exactly what it is, which is okay. I'm not a fan. I don't know why people have hope for video game movies to do amazing. It's like, what fucking world have you lived in the past 3 decades? But a new Borderlands game. I'm excited. I'm excited because a lot of people forget there was a recent Borderlands game, which was Tales from Borderlands 2. A lot of people forget that. So Borderlands, it was Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and then the prequel game, which I forget what it was called. Borderlands 3, or maybe it was Borderlands 3, then the prequel came after. I don't forget. I played them all. And then the only one I didn't play, Drill, was the one by Telltale Games called Tales from Borderlands. And Tales from Borderlands, like any Telltale game was, is more like, it's pretty much quick time events. The game. That's not a knock. That's just a description of what Telltale games are. It's quick time event, the game. But what absolutely holds up any Telltale game to, a quote unquote quality is their narrative. I mean, right. Like, just call it is. Telltale's The Walking Dead. Holy shit! Still one of the best games of all time, with one of the most tear jerking moments in gaming history.
Yeah.
But what they did was but of course Telltale Games went under, but the sequel, the story was still there. So very recently, I want to say last year, they released Tales from Borderlands 2. So it's still the narrative style of Telltale Games, and also the gameplay style of Telltale Games, but 2K kept that spirit going, and that was good. That was a 2K adaptation of a Telltale narrative style game, and it's so good. Like, Drill, if I remember this, I'll send you like 2 clips in the game. You're like, what the fuck am I watching? You're like, yeah, it's Borderlands is back. And then also, of course, the year before that, we had the Tiny Tina's Wonderland game, which was good. It wasn't like amazing. It wasn't ballpark. Good. It was good. It wasn't like, shattering records. It wasn't nominated for any. I don't think it was nominated for any. It might have been nominated for like maybe best multiplayer that year, but it wasn't like out of the park. They fucking killed it like Borderlands 2 and 3 did. But seeing what they did with Tales from Borderlands 2, I'm excited for this, and I want a good original Borderlands game. But what I want, Drill, is here's what I don't want. I don't want a trend, because Borderlands 3 was because, Drill, I don't know if you remember playing Borderlands 3. What made Borderlands 3 kind of cringy is it followed trends. I don't know if you remember, Drill, it was like when you and I were working in retail, it was literally called dubstep with guns, and I'm like, I don't
kind of watered down their own franchise in a sense.
Yeah, it made it a joke on itself. Like, Borderlands 2 is a timeless classic because of it's just good writing and gameplay. Borderlands 2, Drill, didn't chase a trend. Borderlands 2 didn't chase dubstep or whatever. Like, Borderlands 3 main villains were fucking Twitch streamers. That's like they were just villainous streamers. It was advertised as dubstep with guns, but I'm like, I don't like dubstep. Why? Because I'm not 12. I don't fucking, sorry if you like, I don't know. I'm just saying, teach their own. Dubstep wasn't my thing. So I had to put up with this whole style and aesthetic and decisions that was Borderlands 3. Here's the thing, Drill. I bought the Borderlands 3, what do they call it? The edition that comes with the edition, goddamn it, Battle Pass. What was the old thing called? Season Pass. We forgot. Season Passes exists somewhere in gaming. Whatever edition they called it, where you got the game plus the Season Pass. Drill. Victor and I, Victor's been my Borderlands buddy for years. We only played 1.5 of the DLC.
Oh, wow.
And we've been playing Borderlands since day one. Like Borderlands 1. Victor and I have beat every Borderlands 1, 2, the prequel, 3. And we only got through 1.5 DLC where like it felt like a chore. We're like, eh. So Borderlands 3 was a trend. It was off dubstep. Its villains weren't good. It was chasing a trend. And I please hope this new Borderlands does not chase a trend because it's cringy. We are over cringe. Look at Forspoken. Forspoken was the game that was released with Unreal Engine 5 as a DB fucking engine. And people are like, hey, this game looks nice, but what the fuck is with this writing? And you cannot fuck up the writing of Borderlands because, yeah, the gameplay's fun. But at the end of the day, what really sticks with you is from a Borderlands game is the writing, is the jokes, is the story, is those moments. So I'm excited for this news that we get new Borderlands because I kind of miss a Borderlands because I don't know. I felt like Tiny Tina's game, though good, it wasn't a true Borderlands game. It's like no one asked for it, Jarrell. Let's put that way, Jarrell. No one asked for that Tiny Tina's game. And then Tales from Borderlands was more just like keep that narrative style going. There was more of a niche market. Again, it was quote unquote a good game, but didn't do well. Whereas I feel like whatever they do next will be the next true like a Borderlands 4. You know what I mean? Like a core to heart, back to their roots, back to what put 2K in the map is Borderlands. I'm nervously hopeful. I'm nervously, hopefully excited. If I see a trailer and I hear and I just see cringe fucking Twitter speak, like you know what I mean, like a hashtag style thing, I'm like, I'm out. Because here's the thing: if they make a cringy, like chasing a trend game, I don't have to play. I want to have to play the new Borderlands, Drill. You want to know why? Because I can just play the new Saints Row, and we all know how good that fucking game did, don't we?
Yeah, fair points. I think that is the reason why. That's the reason why I'm really apprehensive on this particular title. Like you said, as far as the trend of from Borderlands 1 to Borderlands 3 and really buying into, hey, what if we kind of incorporate like just like the youth and Twitch streamers and made fun of itself, and I think it's just a little too much. So especially with today's standards on all this live service stuff and like, you know, they're really trying to tap into the Gen Z market. I just hope they don't sacrifice the art. You know, it's what made Borderlands really fucking fun, like the mechanics and co-op and just like the guns, obviously, you know, the sound effects and stuff, really funny dialogue. Like, I just hope they keep those core elements together, and really focus on that versus, you know, hey, let's over market to, you know, X amount of people, this certain target audience. Or audience they're targeting, I should say. I don't know if it's the right audience they should be targeting. That is my concern, you know, and it's Take-Two. So Take-Two's had most hits than misses, but I mean, this is, you know, Take-Two's the publisher, right? We're not talking about Rockstar, you know. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm a little worried for the same reasons as you are. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting that if they're making a new one, you know, I think Take-Two is a decent publisher to purchase or to buy it. You know, but yeah, we'll see. We'll just have to see what's going on, man.
I also want, another thing I don't want Randy Pitchford to be the face of this fucking game.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's going to be connected with it in any way, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but I know he's at a Gearbox, and I think if the publisher bought it, I don't know if they're going to be working on the game. I have to do some additional research on it.
No, based on the IGN little post here, is Gearbox will join Take-Two's division and will continue to be led by CEO and founder Randy Pitchford. Now, I'm not saying that. Now, face value, it's just saying, hey, the guy that founded the company is still with it. That's not a bad thing. What I don't want is Randy to be the face of this game. Like, I don't want Randy in as many fucking interviews and shit, because we saw Randy did last, you know, E3. Hey, I'm on the set of this movie. I'm gonna shove a camera in Kevin Hart's face. Be funny, Kevin Hart. Be funny. Right. That's Randy Pitchford. Yeah, I mean, And again, also, Drew, remember there was a I think there was a kind of a controversy too. I forget if it was Borderlands 3 or Borderlands 2 even. Remember that even though Borderlands, again, 2 or 3, I forget, hit the sales goals, remember, he didn't give out their bonuses. Remember, that was the contract. Remember, there was a contract saying if we hit X, Y, and Z marks, you guys will get a bonus. They hit X, Y, and Z marks, and Randy Pitchford didn't give the bonuses. And you're like, oh, Arthur, maybe that's not his decision. Nope. As I just read, he is the CEO and founder. So he didn't. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want Randy Pitchford to be the face of this game. It's like for me, it's like Bethesda and Todd Howard. I get it. You can't have one from the other. But now, the more I see a Bethesda game without Todd Howard, it makes me more hopeful for the next Bethesda shit. So the same thing with Randy Pitchford. The more I see a Gearbox fucking Borderlands thing without Randy Pitchford, the more it makes me hopeful. I don't think that they'll do it. I doubt they'll do it. But the best thing they could do for Borderlands is bring Anthony Birch back. Anthony Birch was the head writer for Borderlands 2. He made that game. Tiny Tina was a character he wrote for his sister. For those of you who aren't familiar with it or from that like niche corner of the YouTube world, was Hey Ash, what you playing? And that was a channel where his sister, Ashley Birch, the voice of Tiny Tina, and their dad just made a bunch of little, skits. It was even gaming videos. It was skits. And he became the head writer for Borderlands 2. And he was the reason Borderlands 2 what it was. Like Mr. Torque, Tiny Tina, everything. He was the brains behind it. And he was not involved in Borderlands 3. And then we got Airhorn, Twitch streamers, the game. So I doubt they'll do it. The pipe dream, pie in the sky, manifest it. See if they can get Anthony Birch back even remotely involved. Even as like a fucking advisor for Borderlands, this next Borderlands 4, whatever they're going to call it, would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Last topic here of the show, arguably the biggest topic of the show here. Big tune of the day, if you remember the old school Gamers for Life podcast episodes. Phil Spencer recently did an interview with Polygon. And it's been all over the internet. All types of gaming companies have been taking bits and pieces of what he said. And there's a couple of important things that he's mentioned on here. One of them is the notion, and we'll just dive into it. We'll talk about the other thing later since we've talked about that more so. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. But there's a lot of preconceived notions of him really talking about handheld, wanting a handheld, or considering it would be dope if there was a handheld for the platform. So I thought that was really interesting. Let me read a little bit of this here. Let me see if this talks about. Okay, so this is like a snippet, not necessarily everything he said, but I'll just fucking read it. So again, it's for Polygon. It says here in quote, Polygon spoke with Spencer during the annual Game Developers Conference and noted the conversation ranged from the possibility of a handheld console to the trouble with closed platforms. One thing was inescapable, what's going on with the gaming industry. But there was a specific quote that he said that he wouldn't mind if there was a handheld version, or a version where you can, you have a handheld, and being able to take these games with you.
Yeah, I found one of the quotes that kind of started off that, like, why Phil Spencer individually wanted it, of the mini snippets, or again direct quotes, is from Phil Spencer. I want my Lenovo Legion Go to feel like an Xbox. I brought the Legion Go with me to GDC. I'm on the airplane and I have this list of everything that makes it not feel like an Xbox. Forget about the brand. More like, are all of my games there? Do all of my games show up with save files that I want? I'll tell you one game that doesn't right now. It's driving me crazy. It's Fallout 76. It doesn't have cross save. I want to be able to boot into the Xbox app in a full screen, but in a compact mode, and all of my social experiences there. Like, I want it to feel like the dash of my Xbox when I turn on the television, except I want it on those devices.
Yeah, thank you for finding that. I don't know why I should have fucking found it before recording, but yeah. So, handheld for Xbox. Let's start there. What are your thoughts on that notion? Would you consider buying an Xbox handheld?
If it can play without an Xbox dependent, it's already leagues better than fucking Sony.
Right, exactly. Not a PlayStation portable portal, or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler, by the way, that shot is fact. By the way, like what was the word? Like, I can not buyer's remorse, but like purchaser warning, like straight up warning before you buy that Sony handheld quote unquote thing. It has to have a PS5 link to it. So again, Joel, you and I worked retail. I can't imagine all the retail employees that were asking that question when people are buying as a gift. Is this a gift? Does the person you're buying this for have a PS5? No, then this will not work. But of course, you and I, just call. I'm not saying throwing shade, but not every retail employee was like you and I. So I'm sure to like, yeah, this will. You want spend $500? Fucking buy it. Fucking buy it. So again, that's why I'm saying start off the bat. If an Xbox handheld is even mentioned in true development, is it has to exist without being dependent on an existing Xbox. Which, by the way, Jarrell, I will say, I think will be a standard that Phil or the heads that be asked for, because of how much they're pushing the xCloud. It's not technically a beta. We have a TV right now that does not require an Xbox. There's an $8,000 Samsung in the market right now that you can buy and does not require an Xbox to play Xbox games. So I don't think that will be an issue for Xbox customers. That aside, even though for me that's a big deal, I feel like for the majority of the market it's not, which is weird. But that being aside, I don't know how much I want one or how popular it would be, because upside downside, because of how Xbox, or how much Microsoft is synonymous with Xbox and PC, it's like they almost have to quote unquote outsell themselves with the Steam Deck. I know that's a weird take, but again, something that I called years ago, Drill, is remember, it was no longer being called the Xbox Conference. It was no longer being called the Xbox Blank. It was no longer being called Xbox. It was always, for the past like 4 to 5 years, Drill, I was saying how Phil is doubling down the Xbox and PC are the same thing. Hence why it was like more and more in the public eye being referred to as Microsoft. And because of that, since the Steam Deck has since come out, what they would have to do if Xbox releases a Steam Deck, if Xbox releases a handheld, is convince people that either own a Steam Deck to buy this thing, or people that were considering a Steam Deck to buy this instead of the Steam Deck, because Xbox has been synonymous with PC gaming for so much, and this xCloud situation. So off the bat, Joel, to your question of would I buy one? No, but increasingly, and let's just call it what it is, depressingly, I have less times for games. So because I have just real shit. Just again, Joel, Joel and I do this on the side. We have whole ass jobs, whole ass lives. We are not a typical quote unquote influencer. We're not like, hey, what's up, bros? Fucking buy this thing. So for people like us, again, time is money. I don't have the time to warrant that purchase. Now, for mainstream, if you're buying this as a gift for your kids, something like that, I think then it would do well. Like depending how this is priced, it has to be priced $350 max. Because if not, then you might as well just buy an Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Because again, or a Steam Deck, exactly. This has to be priced at $350 max. Because if not, then if let's say someone's buying a gift for a little Timmy for Christmas, then they might as well just buy Timmy a fucking Xbox, because Timmy already wants a fucking Xbox. So what's the incentive to buy little Timmy a handheld Xbox instead of an actual Xbox? Price it differently, less, to warrant that purchase. So I think because of a previous investment they made to make Xbox synonymous with PC, they've potentially made an uphill battle with themselves, because the Steam Deck is now in existence.
Yeah, this is an interesting conversation, right? I found the fucking article, or the portion of the article that I was trying to find in the beginning of this topic. So let me read that and then I'll give my opinion. So it says here in quote, this notion that Xbox can only be this one device that plugs into a television isn't something we see in Gen Z research, because nothing else is like that for them. Some of them will have an iPhone, some of them will have an Android, but all the games and everything is the same. I can still get to TikTok on both of them, at least for now. All of their stuff is available wherever they want. So for Xbox, our brand pivot as we attract and maintain relevance with the younger audience, is Xbox the place where I can find the games I want, the great games I want to, end quote. When it comes to them considering a handheld, I actually would be very interested in this, but this would have to be done very tactfully. So, like you said, the Steam Deck has entered the market. The Steam Deck OLED, to be specific, is a huge success. Is an absolute huge success. So they have to pivot that. Obviously, one of the biggest detractors of the Steam Deck is that if you just buy it out of the box, it's not going to run Game Pass because it has Steam OS on it, which is a very dedicated OS for the Steam Deck. You can boot Windows on it, but that is a whole other thing that you have to do in order for it to run Game Pass, which not everyone will do. So I think if it had the capability of Game Pass, and it's not just a streaming device, it is, and if they create their own specific version of Windows, but a gaming form of it, I think there can be an appetizing thing on here. I think this could be very appetizing situation. I think the biggest issue is going to be cost, though. When it comes to it being $349, I think in a perfect world that would be amazing. I don't know if that's achievable because comparatively with other pretty serious handhelds that are PC based, like the ROG Ally, the MSI Claw that's coming out here really soon. Lenovo has one coming out. A lot of these guys are like $600-$700.
That's right.
Obviously, they're not optimized for Game Pass. I think that's what can cut down the price, is because those other ones are more so optimized to be a little powerful computer, where Xbox could just create something specifically to hone Game Pass. It's not a remote device, but it's honed to play every fucking game on Game Pass to the highest degree of settings, obviously maybe dependent on Wi-Fi, right? And I think the other thing is that, can you play these games offline? I think that's another question too. Traditionally with Xbox console, ever since the Xbox One and up, you have to be online to play all these games. So if you have to be online to play it, I mean, what separates it from the portal at that point? So I think those are some interesting conversations they have to figure out. I can't see myself having an Xbox handheld device traveling, because you are 100% right as far as, I don't get to play games as much as I do because I'm doing a million stuff via adult life, right? I will say on the contrary, I wish I had my device. I got this retro gaming console recently called the Ambernic RG405M, and I can play classic games on it, like SNES games, PS2. I was playing Snake Eater recently.
I was gonna say, the second you said retro, I'm like, okay. When do you get to the part where you're playing the old school Metal Gear Solid games?
Yeah, played Snake Eater, absolutely.
No judgment. That was my educated guess.
No, you were correct. I was even doing Peace Walker a little bit. Peace Walker is a little hard to run on there for some reason, but it's fucking fun, and arguably it's the most gaming I've done all week. It's been like 5-10 minute increments. It hasn't been like 2 hour increments.
You're like when you're in your mid 30s, and it's like all the most gaming I've done all week. Those 3 hours are sick.
No, yeah, exactly. When we used to do like 5-10 hour binges as a kid every fucking day. Now it's like 3 hours for a week. You're absolutely right. But I think those are the things that I'd ask to consider. Also, how is it going to interact with your console a certain way? How is that going to work? But yeah, I think those are some important questions and valid questions as far as what's the price going to be? What is the price going to be? Does it have to be 100% online? How's it interact with the consoles?
Will Church buy the Founders Edition? All valid questions.
Church will absolutely buy the Founders Edition.
Sorry, for those who don't know, our dear friend and co-host Church bought the Founders Edition for the Google Stadia, and an elephant never forgets. I will never let him live that down.
The guy's Heisenberg. He's got money for days. He can buy all this stuff that not everything is a good investment.
If I had spoken in his wedding, like, who would thought a man that bought the Founders Edition of the Google Stadia would be here today? Cling, cling, cling. Yeah, hit the glasses. We got something to celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are my points on that. What are your thoughts on, before we get into kind of the industry thing, which you talked about before? I'm kind of, before, when he said all this, I kind of already knew what he was going to say around this stuff, but what are your thoughts on like the direction that Xbox is going? Because like I never really I remember back in the day I thought, like, man, I wonder if they're going to release a handheld when the PSP blew up, right, for PlayStation. Like the PSP was the big thing. They had the 1, 2, 3, the 3000 series, and then they did the Vita, which was fucking terrible. But the PSP, the Go was just, it's funny, the Go just came out too early because now everyone downloads shit, right?
The Go was ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time. Like, if I found a Go, I think a lot of people have actually like modded the PSP Go because it's like, that's what people are looking for devices like that now, which is really funny. So like the PSP was very successful, and I remember being like, hey, I wonder if Xbox will have a handheld, and like there was like, no, bitch, like console game, gang, but now
what you know about that Connect?
Yeah, that Connect, bro.
Oh shit, we tested on black people. Doesn't fucking recognize it. It does recognize black people. Fuck. That's not racist. That's not racist. For those of you who don't, that's just straight up a fact. Joel, I think you legally have to explain what I'm talking about.
Before you guys cancel my friend, no, they're basically, as far as the lighting of the Kinect, it didn't recognize certain people of color, and it just created poor experiences. So that is a fact. Also, the Move camera did the same shit as well. But yeah, as far as for, I don't want to say I'm disappointed in Xbox, because I feel like instead of focusing, I think it's smart, obviously, focusing on who is the big money target audience to consider while making your device. That just makes sense when it comes to making a product for a customer. Yes, focus on Gen Z. However, when it comes to the games that we've been wanting to do better, like i.e. Halo, I hear they're redoing the Halo franchise. No idea what it's going to be at this point, but like Gears, the new Gears, where the fuck is Gears 6? Like I've been saying, I'm going to create a hashtag for that shit.
Jarrell wants me to scream again while playing a goddamn game. Gears of War, like, yeah, we had fun. Like, I'm not trying to like, do a whole rating list, but like, just as experiences we had as gamers playing with our friends. Remnant 2, were fun. Of course there's Helldivers, but Gears of War 5 is a game that was built from the ground up. Yep. Play with your friends. Where the fuck is Gears of War 6? Here's the thing. They're like, yeah, well, Fortnite is making its money. Great. Then use some of that to fucking make Gears of War 6. Because Gears of War 5, it arguably ended it on a sort of cliffhanger. If not a cliffhanger, Gears of War 5 ended on a literal to be continued. Like, remember the chick's mind is freaking out, and her mom was remember the spoiler, the Gears of War 5 chick, her mom was the previous queen of the Hive, and now it's like she's the daughter, and now she's flipping out, and like that's where Gears of War 5 left off.
Right.
Spoiler: Dom dies. But but again, Joe and I are saying, where the hell is Gears of War 6? And they give us a hint with the Hivebusters free DLC, which they had no business to. Will be forever thankful. Where that DLC humbled Drell, Victor, and I'd be like, fuck, do we suck at games? Like, no, we're playing Outriders. We're playing a game. Spoiler, when you play a game with like no recoil and you go back to Gears of War 5, you're like, oh fuck, there's a learning curve.
Yeah.
But the state of Xbox, and this might be transitioned into it because my opinion might be repeated very momentarily. I want Xbox to go back to its roots of cooperative gaming, which is why I am impressed even that much more that Helldivers 2 is a Sony exclusive.
Right.
Because up until the day that Helldivers 2 came out, for fucking decades, Terrell, I've been saying it and saying it again, Sony exclusives are known for their single player narratives. Uncharted, God of War, Jak and Daxter, and fucking Last of Us, single player narratives. Yeah, Last of Us had the multiplayer game, but whereas Xbox was known for its cooperative fucking games. And then Helldivers 2 dropped, and again, Xbox, known for its cooperative games, releases its flagship, its literal fucking mascot, Master Chief, and doesn't have cooperative campaign at launch. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And so since Xbox's AAA first party games are all shit in the bed, do what Xbox does better than Sony is go back to indie. I want to see more support from indie with Xbox, because I say this, the government believes weed is a gateway drug. Game Pass is a gateway to indie developers. Like games like, again, Coffee Stain is a name I know now because of Deep Rock Galactic. Coffee Stain is a name that you know, Drill, because of Valheim. And guess what? They're both on fucking Game Pass. So in the world where AAA games are letting us down, turn into the swerve. No, not turn into swerve. Just ditch these fucking AAA fucking games that cost so much money, which we'll get into in a moment, and just fucking support indie, man. And Xbox has been great at that. I think if they do better at that, we'll see. Well, I think we'll see more support from Xbox, and also possibly even more acquisitions, because the game I want to see, the game I want to hear about, Drill, is State of Decay 3. My only complaint with State of Decay 2 is it's too short. And that's a compliment of a complaint. Like, I had so much fun. I want to play more of it. Undead Labs released a game called State of Decay. Xbox bought it. Then they released State of Decay 2 on Game Pass, which is the reason why I even got Game Pass to start with, because State of Decay 2 came to Game Pass. That's the whole reason I fucking got into Game Pass. And so I want to see what's going on with Undead Labs and State of Decay 3, because we had a cinematic trailer teaser like 2 years ago and we haven't heard anything from it. So Halo's circling the grave for its vast Xbox players. No one gives a shit. Let it idle in the unknown and just invest more into the games that we're excited for.
Yeah, definitely.
Where's the Perfect Dark fucking remake we saw about a while ago? Remember that shit?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing too. And it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, or I can understand, like, there's the two sides of the spectrum, where I can understand how cooperative games in a profitable sense, like, you got to incorporate either microtransactions or something for it to be profitable, because these devs are spending more money on these games or whatever as far as developing them. I don't know if $300 million is warranted for every single fucking game. I think, like we talked about, as far as I think there's something skewed in that particular
Can you elaborate that number real quick?
Yeah, so as far as for the elaboration, Phil Spencer's talking about as far as how much the games cost today. when it comes to a full project and hiring people and everything like that. So let me read this here. It says in this paragraph, however, the financial calculus has changed. In 2024, most games sold across multiple storefronts often steeply discounted mere weeks after the release or included part of subscription services on launch day. Plus, the games themselves take many years to create with the help of hundreds, if not thousands, of team members, sometimes spread across the world. All of this adds up, and as Phil Spencer says, it can cost $300 million to build a video game. End quote. On the other side of the spectrum, I'm like, bro, you guys are a part of the problem. You made Game Pass. Like,
straight up,
you guys kind of did it to yourselves. Like, you didn't have to do this. Like, you could have segmented Game Pass. They could have segmented it for fucking, for the handheld idea or something to that degree. Like, you guys made this decision, so it's because they fucked up the market. Everyone's like, yo, everyone's just subscribing, no one's buying anything, and then the reduction of cost of the game, the games, change. It's like, yeah, you guys kind of contributed to that, which I find funny. Let me read this really quick here. It says, in quote, the cost really reduces the risk that publishers are willing to take. Where previous games needed to sell a few 100,000 units to justify their cost, new games may need to sell many millions of units. If you're a publisher, that's a pretty big number in the world that already has a lot of video games coming, said Spencer. How are you going to establish this thing? Am I willing to take the red on the new IP, on a new kind of game when the earn-out risk is that high? I think it impinges on the creativity of this industry, which I don't love. Creativity is like the cornerstone of what we should be about in gaming, end quote. Thoughts on that?
So back to the fact that, according to Phil Spencer, the man we respect that saved Xbox, says that in 2024, a game costs 1/3 of $1 trillion to make. Palworld was made by 10 people. Among Us was made by 5. To make some of the games costs $300 million. Does not cost that much to make all of the fucking games. Five Nights at Freddy's was started by one dude. Tony Stark made this in a cave. You know what I mean? So again, that's why I was thinking earlier, because of course, Joe and I talked about this article beforehand, is why I think Xbox should really just go ham on indie. ID Xbox, indie developers at Xbox. Hey Phil, it costs $300 million to make a AAA game. Save money and invest on indie. Oh, problem solved. So
yeah.
Again, Palworld shattered records, fucking shattered records. I think it was literally the most played game ever in terms of player count ever on Steam, which again was a hard record to break with games we didn't mention, like Counter-Strike, like Team Fortress, and a game made by 10 fucking people broke it. So again, I'm going back to something I called years ago, Drill. They spent $35 billion. I told Phil, Todd Howard is a man of lies. So I'm sure Todd Howard told Phil it's going to cost $300 million to make Starfield. No, it won't. Again, Starfield, it's subjective, it's opinions, but I say I had fun with Starfield. Other people I know had fun with Starfield again, but a lot of the constructive criticism was valid. It wasn't polished, and oh my god, are there loading screens? Joe, what's the loading screen at Helldivers? We get shot the fucking planet with killer music. For democracy. Freedom.
That's one of the best loading screens. Yeah.
Yeah, and so again, even Palworld, made by 10 people, on Game Pass, by the way, has very minimal 10-second, 3 Mississippi long worth loading screens. So again, I'm sure some games cost $300 million. Sure as shit, not all fucking games cost $300 million. So another game that won't cost $300 million is fucking State of Decay 3. Where is it? I want it.
Right, exactly. And that's an amazing game to play on an Xbox handheld, right? Like that could be a dope. That could be a dope fucking game to play on the handheld.
Trying to sell me on it? Fuck.
I mean, as far as like, yeah, as far as it being, I think you meant a third of a billion, right? Not a third of a trillion.
Did I say trillion?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
But no, yeah, like no, I agree with you. As far as like it, like that, like, every game, like that's ridiculous. Like that's not for the masses. Like yes, that's for a certain. Maybe that's for some top tier games, but not every fucking game needs to be a million. And I agree with you as far as empowering indie. A lot of these companies need to empower fucking indie if they really want to fill that gap. And again, that's where the balance of what is really the fucking situation here. Do we just want to be money grubbing whores? Do we just want like the CEOs to like just to own all the to be stingy or whatever, just to have all this money, greedy? Excuse me, that's the word I want to say. Just greedy CEOs, or do we really want to fill this this gap of 10%, 10% down year over year when it comes to game sales? Like they're like the indie hasn't been empowered like they should,
So I was just smiling because I'm like, oh, greedy fucking cash grabbing horse. Like, oh, taking a page from my book. I like it. Yes. Like I spoke to it before, Drill. Like Last of Us 2, controversial, divisive, or not. It's made by Naughty Dog. Like that one episode of the podcast back when I still lived in SoCal, when you and I were, pausing because the tamale lady was driving by, is we looked at the very first game made by Naughty Dog, and it was like, I don't know, Action Joe Schmo. And it's like, you like, again, Naughty Dog wouldn't exist. Joel wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Action Joe Schmo, whatever it was, Naughty Dog's first fucking game. Everyone has to start somewhere. So this fucking thing of like, and I'm not saying, support, every single shit game at launch, but like, Action, I forgot his name, like, it was that Daredevil game, Drill. It was a white dude with a big head. It was an Evel Knievel spinoff, like Action Joe or something like that. That developer eventually went on to make No Man's Sky, which was arguably some of the best like space traversing games in modern gaming. Which was even compared to Starfield, because again, Starfield's like, oh, again, look at, these guys made fucking action, again, whatever. So like Dangerous Joe or Dangerous, like that one game. They made two of them.
Yeah. Joe Danger.
Joe Danger. There you fucking go. Thank you. Yeah. They went on to make No Man's Sky, which is another space traversal game compared to Starfield. So again, I think if overhead is a big problem, then support games where overhead isn't a big problem. Whoa. I know I'm oversimplifying it, but again, still, it's like that's the thing with why I love Game Pass. Game Pass is like a massive like billboard marketing opportunity to get your name out there for indie developers and indie games. And like I said, Jarrell, you and I were watching the fucking Game Awards when those 5 people on the couch were crying, losing their mind because Among Us was winning award after award. It was made by just 5 friends on a couch. And so they hear Phil Spencer say, well, modern gaming costs $300 million. No, it doesn't, Phil. It doesn't. Support your indie, save on overhead. You make it back. You might get a sequel. You might get another IP. You might get Joe Danger. Who knows? You might get another No Man's Sky fucking exclusive to Xbox. I know it arguably, quote unquote, Phil's not pro exclusive, whatever. But either way, they might be able to have a heavy hitter in their back pocket, which Xbox hasn't had in a while. Like Xbox, I think Xbox's last big heavy hitter was Plague's Tale 2. And then this isn't even like a mainstream heavy hitter is, Hellblade, 2 is coming out, but that's still not on par with like, fucking Marvel Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Again, who knows? Again, players like me, I cannot wait for State of Decay 3. I just can't say enough. Give me State of Decay 3.
Yeah, it's like all these companies want to print money. It's like, what's the fastest way that we can get X thing? And I'm sure there's probably pressure from shareholders. Because like as far as like Tencent being behind all this stuff and various other type of companies that are being influencing these publishers and companies to make these big solid games, so I know that's definitely a factor. But yeah, like I just feel like they need to really empower indie. And this isn't just Microsoft, like PlayStation, obviously,
everywhere.
I mean, Nintendo could keep being Nintendo. They have the best fucking business strategy of all time.
Nintendo's business strategy is fuck you, we're gonna do us.
It's the in and out strategy. It's like, yo, we got burgers, we got shakes. What the fuck you want? You might around the corner.
You might. What was that? God damn, I've been on a Cali long enough. What's the secret menu like? Monkey style, something like that.
Oh, like animal style fries.
Animal style. Yeah, the $1,000. Yeah. Animal style. Yeah, exactly. You might get this. You might get that. Fuck it. We'll give you animal style. We'll give you a fucking lettuce wrap. But bam, we got our like it's like it's drunken Nintendo bingo. Here's a new Mario game. Here's a new Mario remake. Here's a new Donkey Kong game. Here's a new Donkey Kong remake. New Zelda game, new Zelda remake. You know what I mean? It's like they got like 5 characters and they'll never branch from them. And they're like, fuck it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nintendo is the fucking child, the fucking, love child. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And look at all the success they're doing with a fucking iPad too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it holds true. This will be the last point here. I know this is the longer show. It says here, according to Phil Spencer, the console market has not grown in the past year, though Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch consoles continue to sell. Spencer notes that many console gamers are simply upgrading, or to put it another way, they're not new to the market and won't contribute to growth. That's an interesting point. I don't know if that's right.
I defensively want to say, fuck you. Like, I bought a PS5. I'm contributing to something. Fuck.
Yeah, but you're not going to buy anything else PlayStation related.
No, I have a Helldivers machine. By the way, for those listening,
that's his point, right?
Dude, Drill, I haven't installed Netflix. I have installed YouTube. I have done nothing on my PlayStation 5. My PlayStation 5 is straight up a fucking Helldivers 2 machine. I do nothing else with it.
On the contrary, that's kind of his point. But let me continue this. It says everyone else's customer is your success rate, says Spencer. You can't succeed unless you draw in customers from other publishers and other platforms. And because you're not finding new customers with games that you're building, everyone's kind of fighting over the same size pie. I think obviously he's in the industry, but I think he's like
the second half of that
80% right. Like I agree with I agree with you said for the second part. As far as for like if we can break down these walls and have these big games available to other platforms via crossplay, like everybody wins. You know what I mean? Everybody wins. The same reason why everyone freaked out as far as like, is Call of Duty going to be on PlayStation? Yes, bitch, it's going to be on PlayStation. The same time when we said it fucking X amount of years ago. He was just on a podcast, and I don't want to talk shit on these ladies in their podcast, but they were asking, this lady asked about Call of Duty and as far as like exclusivity, and like I know Phil Spencer in his brain was like, bitch, I answered this 5 years ago. Like X amount of years ago.
You remember the last Olympics? Cool, I said before that.
Like I asked this a long fucking time ago. Obviously, Call of Duty is going to be on everything. We signed X amount of contracts, said that we would. But I agree with him in that notion as far as like, hey, if we do cross-platform, like that's going to be huge. Everybody wins at that point. As far as for gamer growth, because we now have new customers, I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know if that's the case.
How many more can you get? Like, there's fucking 6-year-olds playing games. Like, we haven't tapped the 3-year-old market. Like, It's like upside downside drill. You and I were there. COVID was a ridiculous year for gaming. COVID introduced gaming to the world. Gaming, the year of COVID, 2020 or 2021, post-COVID, 2020 gaming was the most financially successful industry, more than movies and music and film, like every TV combined. Like, so yeah, you might say we're quote unquote stagnating compared to what? A year of the most insane growth this industry has ever seen since the day of Pong. So yeah, sorry if your fucking peaks and valleys of valley to echelon level the world's never seen before with gaming. Like, that's my like sort of caveat is like I said, Jarrell, like fucking Game Pass subscription increased to 50% in 1 quarter. So all of a sudden 8 quarters later, we're not doing as well. My God, we increased by 50%. What the fuck? What do you want from us? So again, that's like, the joke is how many kids play games, but it's like really, again, like between the Switch and all these other games coming out, again, especially post COVID, where the world got cabin fever and gaming kept most of us sane. Like, there's like, what part of this world market is like untapped? You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing untapped. It's just nothing's been really squeezed out. That's why that part of it. That's why that part of it I can't totally agree with. Is like coming from the crazy art. I'm not saying COVID was a success, but crazy coming from the crazy data. All of the data that was released on gaming after code is like, sorry if it seems after a record breaking year that it's stagnating. Like, that's kind of what happens.
I think honestly, at the end of the day, I think Phil Spencer needs to be honest, bro. It's like, are we talking about the market or are we talking about Xbox?
Are we talking about the world market or are we talking about your market?
Because PlayStation is selling like the Switch continues to be a huge fucking selling contender. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom right behind Hogwarts last year. I'm like, are we talking about everyone's going down, or are we just talking about Xbox? Because I think we need to be honest in that regard, because they were doing really fucking bad in Europe. They were raising the prices of Xbox consoles in Japan. Like, they're like, just say that we're struggling versus like the whole market, because he did say like, though Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch consoles continue to sell, like, he needs to be a little specific. Like, we're talking about Xbox.
Software moves hardware.
Yeah.
And software wise, Xbox had a lot of major misses. Arguably one of the worst games of the year, Redfall last year. That was you. Yeah. One of the biggest, I'm not saying flop, but it didn't hit the mark long term. Here we are post launch, Starfield.
Yeah.
So, Halo is again circling the drain. This acquisition it's going to keep them afloat for a while. Diablo 4 came to Game Pass. Whoop-de-whoop. Blizzard fucked with their customers and now no one gives a shit. Diablo 4 is on Game Pass. I'm not going to fucking play it. And like or not, like I told Phil, I warned Phil about Todd Howard. Now the fuckery of Activision Blizzard is on you. And Activision Blizzard is known for a lot of fuckery, Phil. So as all the warnings I gave Phil about Todd Howard, Jesus fucking Christ, they need to watch out for Activision Blizzard's fuckery.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in that regard. I think just my main point, we kind of mentioned before, is part like, I feel like Xbox kind of contributed to this problem as far as for the lack of growth, because you guys turn all of these games into like a little thing on a service for people to buy. So yeah, like your subscription numbers are up, but in hindsight, is the profitability there like you wanted it? I mean, the answer really is no. You know what I mean? So that's why they're changing this stuff. That's why they're giving games out to other platforms. That's why they're considering a handheld. Like, they're doing all this stuff because this Game Pass thing, it appears not to be as profitable as they thought that it would be. Yes, it was profitable to a degree during 2020 and during those COVID years, but now those COVID years are gone. PlayStation continues to flourish. The Switch continues to flourish. People are going to buy a Switch 2, an iPad 3, whenever that's available. So, I'm not mad at them for trying new things, but I don't want them to lose certain IPs that made Xbox. Like, don't forget about Gears of War 6. Don't forget about Halo. Like, I know they're going to redo the franchise, but change it into what? Is it going to be the Halo that we've been wanting to get, or is it going to be adopted off of some Gen Z bullshit? It's like, we have other games that can do that for that particular market. Like, don't forget these games. Like, and you said it exactly right. IPs have been the biggest struggle for this console. I've been saying it for years, and that was the only thing that was leading me towards PlayStation, because their IPs are solid. You know what I mean? Obviously, the recent game that came out, the one where you're a samurai, you know, I mean, it's kind of a forgetful one.
Rise of Ronin. Yeah.
Rise of Ronin. But that's just because Ghost of Tsushima was fucking incredible. And people are like, they're comparing it to Ghost of Tsushima because Ghost of Tsushima is the standard in that particular type of game, right? And that's the PlayStation IP. So we'll see what happens. You know, I'm really curious about this handheld thing just because I'm getting into this retro gaming stuff, like handheld right now. That's how I'm playing for the moment, for the majority of my gaming right now. So we'll just have to see what happens. Any lasting words before we close out?
No, you hit some good spots. I'll just close with, I feel like there's like a handful of people, like I feel like there's, you can come on a hand of the people it's like shitting themselves in behind closed doors in Microsoft because it's public that they're losing money on consoles. And like you said, with Game Pass, I feel like they're losing money with game purchases. So you're right. Like, where is the profit source as a whole for Microsoft and Xbox? So we'll see.
Yes, indeedy. Well, folks, that is going to wrap it up here for the Gamers for Life podcast. Again, each and every Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, discussing all things games. A long one, but a good one at that. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrell. Of course, my OG co-host, Arthur Thomas.
That's me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.